So today's practice is the root down practice, and yoga is a Sanskrit word, and there's lots of translations as to what that means in English, and some are more involved than others. One of the more common translations into English is union. So this could be the union of the breath with the movement, or of the mind with the body, or lots of things coming together in a yoga practice. Today we'll be thinking about kind of a union of opposites. So rooting down, finding strong grounded connection to the earth. And then with that strength, that grounded connection, growing up tall, and then finding a way to be expressive with the upper part of the posture. So the opposites then would be grounding down and expressing upwards. So we can start on our backs. And we'll, you can have your strap nearby so that it's easy to grab when it's time for it. But we'll just start with our knees bent. You're looking to position your feet. You can keep them parallel, about hip distance apart, and maybe close enough to your bum that you could just tickle your heels with your fingers. From here we can rest our hands on our tummies. Let's do some deep belly breathing. So inhaling, letting the belly expand upward. And then exhaling, the air relax out. And a slight draw in at the end of the exhale, that we make space for the next breath. Breathing at your own pace. Using this time to come into the room, still the mind a little bit before starting the more vigorous physical practice. Your next cycle of breath, you can start to introduce some movement into this breath. So as you inhale, belly expands up, and bring your tailbone down, arching your back away from the mat. And then on exhale, tummy draws in, scooping the belly, tailbone curls up towards the ceiling in between your legs. So inhaling, tailbone presses down, belly lifts up. Exhaling, scooping the belly, tailbone curls up and under. Taking a few cycles with this, letting this be a gentle massage on the sacrum. Tuning into the sensations in your hips. Just notice what you notice. And on your next cycle of breath, as you start to inhale, or as you start to exhale, you can press down through your feet, scooping the belly, curling the tailbone up, and then lift the hips up any amount. And then inhaling, curling the tailbone down, letting the belly expand upward, bringing a little bit more movement. Leave your hands in your tummy, or if your hips are moving up quite high, you could press your palms into the ground.
Take one more cycle of that. And when you finish, the end of an exhale, you can straighten your legs out. Space. And we'll spread out on our back. We'll bring our arms up overhead alongside our ears, so our arms are on the floor. And bend our left knee. And start to bring the left knee, left foot across the body. Left foot can touch down, and then we'll draw ourselves onto our tummy by stretching out with our left foot. Now we're laying on our tummy. And then we can take that left foot, lift it up like a scorpion tail. Use your hands, if you like, to help you roll over. And then stretch left foot over and back, across, onto your back again. So we'll try that on the other side. And bend our right foot this time, or right knee. Draw right leg, right knee, right foot across the body, stretching out with the right toes. Over, and then gradually let that pull our body all the way so that we're on our tummies. Lift up that right foot, reach it back and across like a scorpion tail. Your arms if you need, and then rolling onto our back. We'll do one more like that in each direction. Going at your own pace, finding that tipping point in your body as you stretch your legs across. At the beginning of practice, letting this be kind of a fun exploration of how the body moves, rather than something we need to achieve in a certain amount of time. Once you've done two-ish on each side, you can come back to lying on your back, and this is when it will be handy to have your scarf or your strap. We can start by looping the strap around the toes, or around the balls of the feet, just below the toes. And then we'll lift our leg up. And it might be that the knee is bent here, that's totally fine. And it might be that the leg is sort of angled with the heel close to the ground, also totally fine. Want to draw our toes back towards our shin, and want to find support of the strap here. So let your shoulders be heavy, let your elbows come back onto the floor, close to your rib cage, and find a position here where your arms are helping to support your leg, but your arms can also be relaxed. If you're really flexible, sometimes it's tempting to try to grab your toe or to make this look fancy. It's possible to do that, but I'd encourage you to try with the strap today and try with very relaxed arms, because I think it's easier to tune into the alignment of the hips that way. And that's really what we're aiming for. So if right foot is up, if it feels comfy, you can straighten out the left leg as well. And then from here, breathing into the back of the leg. So we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. We want to keep this comfortable and easy, knowing that muscles that are relaxed are much more likely to lengthen. If the muscle is quivering and tensing up, it's going to be hard for it to stretch out. And while we breathe into the back of the right leg, we can also tune into the alignment of the hips. So both hip points pointing right at the ceiling, so we don't want to be rolling over one side or the other. We did that pelvic tilting at the beginning of practice, so we want to find an equal heaviness through the top and the bottom of the pelvis. So we're not arching the back too much off the mat, but we're also not scooping the belly under. Nice neutral pelvis. The other thing that tends to happen sometimes, if the right leg is up in the air, sometimes we tend to hike the right hip up towards the right shoulder. So we have kind of a bend in our spine or in our hips. So if you notice any of these, no judgments, just adjustments to level out, align the hips. And from here, we're going to bring our scarf into our right hand and open the right leg out to the right. So still pulling back on the toes, leaving the knee bent if needed. And we can also always take a block if that feels like a lot of tension in the groin, and add a little support here. So we're still getting a stretch. We're just doing it in a way that helps the muscles relax and lengthen rather than tense up and quiver. I want to keep the left hip really heavy here. The left hip stays connected to the floor, and then we can tune into alignment at the hips again, both hip points straight up towards the ceiling. Not shrugging our hips into our shoulders. We have a nice neutral curve in the lumbar spine and in the sacrum, so finding that nice even balance. From here, we'll take a deep breath in, bring our right leg all the way back up to center. Take a moment to realign the hips, make any adjustments that are needed. And then as we exhale, we can bring the strap or scarf into our left hand and bring our right leg across our body, so across to the left. So the right hip will pick up off the mat here, but we want to keep the right shoulder connected to the ground. You can always bring a block underneath your right calf or maybe above your knee on your right thigh, and your foot. Finding a stretch on the outside of the leg. We're a little twisted here. We have some, we're revolving. So the hip points won't be pointed up at the ceiling anymore, but still want to align the hips so that we're not shrugging either side into the shoulder. This might mean that the right hip drops down a little bit away from the right shoulder. Continuing to draw back, right toes towards the right shin. One more deep breath in here, and then exhale, like back to center. Take another moment to find alignment in the hips. Press out through both heels, so we're feeling rooting through our feet as if we were standing on the ceiling and the wall. And then you can release your right foot from the scarf. And then nice and slowly bring it back down alongside the left. Just take a moment here to tune into how that feels. Noticing any differences between the right and left leg. Just notice what you notice. When that feels like enough, you can bend your knees. We'll bring the left foot up and bring the scarf to the the balls of the left foot. Find a comfy spot here. If it feels okay on your lower back, you can draw your right leg straight down along the ground. Find a nice angle for your left leg. Drawing your left toes back towards the left shin. Letting your arms be relaxed, shoulders are relaxed, jaw is relaxed. Breathing into the back of the leg. Keeping a subtle bend in the left knee. Bringing your attention into the alignment of your hips. So both hip points pointing at the ceiling. Finding a neutral pelvic tilt. Finding some heaviness in the tailbone and also some little bit of space under the lumbar spine. And then paying particular attention to the potential shrugging of the hips. Whatever you notice, no judgments, just adjustments to bring the hips into alignment. Take one more deep breath in here, and then we'll bring the scarf into the left hand and start to open out. Left leg comes out to the left, maybe being supported by a block. Always bring your right hand onto your right hip point as a reminder to keep your right hip grounded on the floor. Breathing into the stretch along the inside of the left leg and bringing our attention into the alignment of the hips. Points to the ceiling. Neutral tilt in the pelvis. Realigning any shrugging up on the side of the hip. One more deep breath in here. Bring our leg back to center, pull our toes back towards our shins. Find the alignment here in center. We can bring the scarf into our right hand. Bring the left leg across the body. Maybe finding some support with a block or a cushion. Left hip is going to roll up off the mat. The left shoulder should stay down and supported, grounding in the big mat. Continuing to draw back on the toes. Sending your breath into the outside of the left leg. Finding the alignment of the hips. So the hip points will come over to the side. We want to tune into any shrugging of the hips. Letting the left hip relax down and away from the left shoulder. Breathing into the belly. Letting the muscles relax and lengthen. One more deep breath in here. Exhale, rolling onto our back, bringing the left leg center. Drawing the toes back. Bring into the alignment of the hips. One more time. Letting the shoulders relax and then freeing up your left foot. Bring your Scarf off to the side. Slowly bring left leg down alongside the right. Take a mini Savasana here. Arms spread out from the body, palms up towards the ceiling. Noticing how the legs feel. This relaxed position, tuning into the alignment of the hips. You can take one more body roll here, so you can bring your arms up alongside your head. Take either leg, doesn't matter which one, roll yourself onto your tummy, and then we will come up into tabletop. Spread our hands out underneath the shoulders, spreading wide with the fingers, gripping into the tree frog finger pads. And we'll take a cat and cow here. So inhaling, drawing the tailbone up, drawing the chin up, exhaling, drawing the tummy up, chin comes in towards the chest, and then continuing at the speed of your own breath, at your own pace. Letting this be easy and comfortable as we start out. Maybe if it feels right in your body, you could always increase the range of motion as you go through more cycles. That feels like enough. Finish the cycle that you're on. And we will warm up our shoulders a little bit with thread the needle. So you can take your right hand, press it down onto the ground underneath the center of your chest, and then lift up your left hand, opening wide towards this side of the room. And then as you exhale, left arm threads underneath, bringing the left shoulder, left ear down to the mat. And then from here, maybe taking the right hand to the sacrum. And whether your hand is there or not, tuning into the alignment of your hips. So hip points pointed down towards the mat. And then here, very common to find some shrugging up one side of the pelvis or the other. So notice that. You can make any adjustments that you need. Take one more deep breath in here, and then as we exhale, pushing down onto the right hand again. Big, wide stretched left hand up to the ceiling. And then exhale, both hands come down onto the mat. Take some cat paws here. So rolling through the hands, pulling up on squeezed little cat paws. You can bring your left hand down to the mat under the center of your chest. We'll stretch up with the right fingers. Maybe the gaze comes up. Chest opens to this side of the room, and then as you exhale, right arm threads under the left. Right ear comes to the mat. Right shoulder comes to the mat, and then tuning into the alignment of your hips. Noting especially if there's any shrugging up in towards your shoulders. Breathing into the lengthening along the back of the shoulder. Enjoying this nice warm-up twist for the body. One more deep breath in here, and then as we exhale, pressing down through the left hand. Up one more time. With the right arm, big hug for this side of the room, and then we exhale. Both hands come down. We can do some more cat paws. From here, if you have blocks, you could bring them up towards the front of your mat. From here, we'll step forward with the right foot and draw our blocks back. Maybe draw up on our knee. Tuck the back toes or leave them flat. Aligning your hips here so both hip points pointed at the front of the mat. Inhale, reaching up with the arms, and then we'll exhale. Bring your hands down to the mat or down to your blocks. And we're here for a runner's lunge or Ardha Hanumanasana, so a little stretch for the hamstring here. Very common if we're stretching the right leg straight to open up to the side, so the hip points point out towards the side. I really want to draw back on the right hip, almost like we're going to drag the right heel back so that our hip points point straight towards the front of the mat. One more deep breath in here. And then we can bend our front knee again. Bring our blocks up to the front of the mat. We'll bring both hands to the inside of the right foot. From here, we'll take an easy twist. So as an option, you can tuck your back toe, lift the back knee off the ground, and then inhale, right arm lifts up towards the sky, pushing down through the left hand. A grounded feeling. Deep breath in here, and then exhale. Hand comes back down to the ground. Knee comes back down to the ground. And then we are returning back into a tabletop position. Spread out our hands so fingers are wide, hands right underneath the shoulders. Neck is long, and then we'll step forward with the left foot this time. We'll come up into lunge. You can bring your blocks back with you. Tuning into the alignment of the hip points, going straight forward towards the front of the mat. Take a deep breath in. Big inhale, maybe the gaze looks up, and then we can exhale. Hands come down to the ground or maybe onto blocks. Give yourself a little more space. We'll find a bit of lengthening through the back of the left leg. Drawing the toes back. Ardha Hanumanasana, the half splits pose. Drawing back a little bit on the left hip. You're feeling like you could drag the left heel back so the hip points stay oriented towards the front of the mat. And bend through the left knee again. Blocks come up towards the front of the mat. We'll bring both hands to the inside of our front leg. From here, as an option, you can tuck the toe, lift the back knee up off the mat, pressing down through the right hand, lifting up through the left. Deep breath in here. We'll take one more deep inhale. And then exhale. Both hands come back down. Back knee comes down. Bring our knees a little bit wider. Bring our toes together. And then bring the hips back towards the heels into a child's pose. Head connects with the mat. Arms reaching forward. When you're ready, you can come up into a tabletop again. Spreading your fingers extra wide, pressing down a little bit more through your tree frog finger pads. Align your knees underneath your hips. Tuck the toes, and then we'll press back into a downward dog. Letting the knees stay bent here. Letting the head be heavy. Give your head a shake. The sitting bones smile up towards the ceiling, so we have that nice neutral pelvic tilt here, allowing for the gentle, natural curve in the lower spine. Take one more deep breath in here, and then as we exhale, bending the knees more, looking up at the space between the hands, coming all the way forward into an Uttanasana, forward fold. The head hang heavy. Knees can be bent so the chest is relaxing over the thighs. Any arm variation that feels good to you. Ground down through our feet, charge up through our legs, and then inhale. Coming all the way up, arms reach up overhead, and then exhale. The hands come down to the center of the chest. So from here, starting at the front of your mat, you can bring your hands to your hips. And then we will step back with the left leg, just a moderate step, and we'll bring the heel down so that the heel is, the whole sole of the back foot is on the floor, and the back foot is on about a 45-degree angle. Front foot stays pointed at the front of the mat, and then we want our hip points also pointed towards the front of the mat. We'll bend a little bit through the front knee. The knee lines up the top of the ankle. Press very firmly into the outside edge of the back foot. And then we'll encourage with our hands and noting where our hip points are, where the front of the room is. So really squaring off to the front of the room. This is warrior one pose. May be useful to draw in slightly on the abdominal muscles to encourage the neutral tilt of the pelvis. If you feel ready, you can inhale, arms coming all the way up. Maybe the gaze comes up. Virabhadrasana 1, warrior 1. And then as you exhale, hands come down to your hips. Step all the way forward, a little wiggle if you like. And we'll step back with the right foot this time. Finding that same 45-degree angle, pressing very firmly into the outside edge of the back foot. Bending into the front knee, making sure that our kneecap shining out over the middle toe. From here, finding our hip points and then finding that alignment. The left hip draws back a little bit, right hip draws forward a little bit, the abdomen draws in to keep a neutral pelvic tilt. Keep your hands in front of your heart, or if you like, you can inhale, finding this strong, grounded rooting down with the legs. And the union of opposites reaching up in this expressive posture, maybe the gaze coming up. Deep breath in here. And as you exhale, hands come back to the hips, finding the alignment of the hips. Stepping all the way forward. Bring your feet to parallel, about hip distance apart, and we will take a deep breath in, arms coming all the way up. And then exhale, swan dive over bent knees. Letting your chest rest onto your thighs, letting your head be heavy. Shake your head, yes and no. From here, we'll bring the hands onto the shins. Inhale, flat back, looking forward. And then exhale, relaxing down. Uttanasana. And spread out our toes. Find this rooted connection through our feet, ground down through our feet, charge up through the legs. Inhale, coming all the way up, and then exhale. Let's come to heart center. Step to the back of your mat this time, and we'll try Virabhadrasana 3. So it may be useful to take blocks to the front of your mat. And it's nice to have blocks on their tallest setting. Step to the back of our mat. Hands could be at heart center, or it might be nice to balance with the hands on your hips. Step forward this time with the right foot. And then we'll stay in this forward diagonal position with our back toes touching while we align our hips again. Both hip points shining straight forward. And we're not shrugging up on either side of the pelvis, so nice stability here. That's a good strong warrior 3. If you're starting with alignment of hips, that's Virabhadrasana 3, that's the practice. If you'd like to go further, you always have the option to lift up slightly. I'm running out of walls, space there. Lift up through the back leg, make sure the back toes stay pointing down, and then maybe your hands could come to the blocks as a way of helping support your upper body while you find this alignment with your lower body. Very common here to open up and stack the hips, but as much as possible, want to keep the hips aligned, cultivating that alignment. And if you ever feel like you're losing alignment, you can always come back to this toe bracing balance position. Wherever you are now, you can start to work your way back up towards standing. And then we'll step back to the end of our mat. And then step forward with the other foot this time. Finding a nice grounded, rooted position with our foot. And then taking a diagonal lean forward. Finding our hip bones, finding them aligned. Staying here with the focus on alignment, on drawing in the abdomen, or maybe tipping forward any amount. Maybe finding the support of your blocks, turning the toes of the back foot down towards the ground. The hip points will follow. Identifying any shrugging up into either shoulder and making any adjustments that are needed. Letting the alignment of your hips be the practice. So if you ever lose alignment in the hips, always modify the practice to a point where you can find that alignment again. Take a deep breath wherever you are, and then start to make your way back towards standing, back to toe on, back to the back of your mat. Take a deep breath in, arms coming all the way up. Then exhale, swan dive forward over bent knees, letting the head be heavy. Letting your knees be bent, your chest is supported. Here we'll ground down into our feet. Find that deep rooting of our toes, of our heels. Charge up through the legs, and then with an inhale, coming all the way up. Exhale, hands in front of the chest. From here, we will grab our scarf again. we can clear your blocks out of the way. And we can take the strap over our right balls of the feet again. So that same Padangusthasana that we did on the floor before, so the hand to toe posture, we'll do this standing up, or also have the option to do another set of this laying on your back. You can ground into your right foot. Find the strap around your left foot. And then finding the middle stretch here. Going back on the toes, letting the shoulders be aligned with the spine, letting the elbows nestle in with the ribs. Finding a nice easy stretch here to breathe into, a lengthening stretch. Tuning into the alignment of the hips, noting where the hip points are pointing. Finding neutral tilt of the pelvis, drawing in on the tummy if needed. Also ensuring there's not any shrugging on one side or the other. Finding the alignment of your hips with any adjustments that you need, taking a deep inhale here, and then we'll take the strap into one hand and open out to the side. Your hand comes to your hip. Both hips align with the spine. Hip points are still. Beaming straight ahead or straight up to the ceiling. And any support you need from props. Deep breath in here. We exhale, coming back to center. Letting this be a point where we find alignment, and then we'll take the strap into the other hand. Gentle twist across our body here. So if you're standing, you won't be able to roll your hip over in quite the same way. We'll take a variation where the hip points are still pointing forward. If you're lying down, feel free to roll your hip right off the ground like we did the first time. Both shoulders roll back in line with one another. Take a deep breath in here, and then as we exhale, coming back to center, finding alignment one more time. Take a deep breath in here, and then as we exhale, and let go of the strap. Straighten out both legs so they're alongside one another. You can take a mini shavasana if you're on your back. If you're standing up, we'll take an inhale, reaching up, and then exhale, swan diving over bent legs. In this position with the knees bent and the chest resting on the thighs. Tune into the difference in feeling of each leg. We'll prepare for the other side, so grounding down, rooting through both feet. Charging up through the legs, inhale, reaching all the way up. And exhale, grab our strap, getting ready for the other side. Now we've developed some real expertise with finding the right part of our foot. Develop the habit of drawing the toes back towards the shin, leveling the shoulders with the spine, elbows nestled into the rib cage. Right away, our attention comes to the alignment of our hips. Hip points, check. Neutral tilt of the pelvis, check. The shrugging side to side movement of the hips, check. Take a deep breath in here and then bring the strap into one hand. Reach the leg open, feeling a lengthening through the groin. Both shoulders stay connected to the mat or to the imaginary wall that's helping us stay aligned. Both hips stay connected to the mat or aligned with our imaginary wall. Getting into the alignment of our hips, grounding down to our standing leg, our toes pulling back, finding this expression in this posture. Come back through center. A nice alignment here, and then switching to our other hand and drawing our leg across the body. Depending on where you are, you may have your hip points rolling over if you're on the floor, or they might stay pointed straight ahead. Shoulders relaxed, jaws relaxed. Continuing to ground down into the feet. Draw up to an expressive posture. Take a deep breath in here. Exhale back to center. Finding nice alignment in the hips. And then we can exhale, release our foot. You can find both our legs alongside one another. Take a deep breath in, arms coming all the way up. We're finding a gentle savasana on the ground. Exhale to swan dive over bent knees. Smiling your sitting bones up towards the ceiling. If you're on the floor, noticing the difference between each leg. Here, we'll find a child's pose. So if you're standing up, you can step back into a downward dog. And then bend your knees together, knees far apart. Bring your heels, or bring your hips back towards your heels. Arms stretching out in front, forehead connects to the mat. Letting the hips be heavy, letting the spine waterfall forward. Finding the breath here. Finding alignment in the hips and avoiding shrugging each hip into the armpit actually takes a lot of work on the side bodies. So to lengthen the side bodies, we'll move our arms over towards the left. Parvriti Balasana, evolved child's pose. If we're reaching over towards the left, we can feel extension through the right side of the body, right shoulder. Our right hip be really heavy here, just breathing into that length. One more deep breath in here and then start to walk our hands over towards the other side. Finding a heaviness in our left hip as we reach out through the left arm. Breathing into the length along the left side body. And when that feels like enough, you can come back towards the center. Lift your head down the ground for one more breath. And then we can start to find our way onto our back. Any way that feels natural to you. And hug both knees in towards the chest. You can hold on to just the right knee, letting the left leg come down straight. Pulling our right knee in, maybe to the side of our rib cage, letting our right hip stay descended, not shrugging up. Pavanmuktasana, wind releasing pose. Bring both knees back into the chest. If you like, you can draw your nose up with an inhale towards your knees. And we'll hold on to the left knee this time. Letting the right leg straighten down towards the ground. And the left knee over to the side of the rib cage and finding alignment in our hip. Letting the left hip relax down away from the shoulder. One last squeeze in with both knees. Option to lift your nose up by your knees. We'll exhale onto our backs. You can bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees open up. Supta Baddha Konasana, the reclined bound angle pose. If you like, you can always take your blocks, gently slide them under the outside of your knees. Add a little extra support here so your muscles get to relax as they lengthen rather than being twanging guitar strings under the weight of your legs. An option, you can bring your hands to your belly as we did at the start of class. Feel your breath coming in and out of your belly. We're going to slow down at the end of practice. Coming in towards the final relaxation, Savasana. When you feel like you've had enough Baddha Konasana, you can straighten your legs out one at a time. It's also a time to put on socks or get a sweater or blanket. You've got your props out of the way and any extra warm clothes. Arrange yourself on your mat. Starting with the hips today. Finding an aligned position of the hips, and then letting go of all the muscles of the hips. Letting the pelvis fall into whatever relaxed position it finds on the mat. Your glutes, the muscles of your thighs, grow heavy and sink into the mat. Feeling your calves relax, your ankles. Your feet flop lazily onto their sides. Letting go of any focus or effort around the breath. Your breath come naturally. You feel your spine connect down into the mat. Full flat surface of each shoulder blade, spreading out, widening, making full contact with the mat as your chest and shoulders relax. All those muscles sink down into the mat. In your upper arms, be heavy, relaxed. Your elbows be relaxed. Letting go of any gripping or tension in your forearms. Your palms widen out. Gentle curl in your fingers. Letting all the muscles of your neck grow long and relaxed. Letting your jaw relax. All the little muscles around your ears, around your eyes, your temples, forehead grow smooth and relaxed. Your head sink a little deeply, a little more deeply into the mat. And getting now to find some movement in your fingers and your toes. Starting to find some circles through your wrists, through your ankles. Maybe turning your head gently side to side in preparation for getting up. You can bring your arms alongside your head. Stretch arms and legs long. Maybe you
yawn. When you're ready, you can roll yourself onto your right hand side. Use your arm as a pillow. Take a moment here to consolidate the practice. Think about how it felt. Think about what we noticed about the union of opposites, rooting down and growing tall, being connected and being expressive. Without connecting any judgment to this practice, good or bad, we can put it behind us, kiss it goodbye, and then gently push up to a seated position. We can find our hands out on our knees as we take a deep breath in. Exhale, circling the hands in towards the heart. Thanks for practicing today. That's definitely an advanced practice with the union of opposites. So it was fun to do that with you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Turn off the recording.